If you're a foreign trained dentist who's applying to CAAPID cycle in 2025 and trying to figure out the big do's and don'ts and the difference in Kira talent assessment and in personal one-on-one interviews, well, this is the video for you. If you don't know who I am, my name is Adriel William. I'm a foreign trained dentist just like you who applied to 12 schools back in 2019, got accepted to 4 of them in my first cycle. And since then, I've been working with candidates and I graduated from Colorado back in 22 and I work with candidates preparing them for interview and the CAAPID cycle. Now, over the past couple of months, I've been preparing a lot of people for Kira talent assessment. I have recorded sessions that people buy and some list of questions that they prepare from, and then there are people who I've been preparing for one-on-one interviews, and this been ongoing for 5 years. I prepared people for Colorado recently and UIC, and a lot of those people ask me what is the difference between when I'm preparing for Kira and in-person interview. Well, I'm going to list some do's and don'ts, and I want you to understand the differences because these are very important differences you want to keep in mind when you're preparing. Remember that Kira Talent Assessment is a software, is a computer, just like TOEFL system. What would happen? You will open up the software. It will say, they will give you a question mostly regarding conflict. So they will say, you had a conflict at work. How did you manage or resolve it? You have 1 minute to think about it. Record your answers for 2 minutes. All right. So you're going to record your answer to a computer, to a camera, just like I'm doing to a video right now to a camera. And you don't even know who's going to listen to it. You don't know who's going to evaluate whether they are a male, female, dentist, non-dentist, immigrant. You don't know. Maybe in future they would have computer or AI evaluated. Now, on the other hand, when you go in person, you deal with a human being. Most schools will have a faculty member or a professor or a student ask you, tell me about your teamwork experience, or tell us about your time when you failed. Now, the difference I tell people, imagine if you have two cars at home. You have a very basic car like a Toyota Corolla or like a simple, very basic car like back in Pakistan we had Miran or Maruti in India. So you have a very basic car and then you have your BMW, like your expensive car, sophisticated one. What I tell people is that your answers, you need to prepare two kind of answers. One are your Toyota Corolla, the basic daily driver answers, very simple, baseline, and then you have the sophisticated one. When you go in the Kira, you want to take your Toyota Corolla with you. You want to take your basic answers, which are not very complex, which are very simple, that even a layman, even a high schooler can understand, or even a dentist can understand. You want to give your answers in Kira talent assessment very simple, very basic, straight to the point within the time limit. The reason I'm saying this because it has happened to me when you're trying to give a very sophisticated or complex idea, you might run out of time and you might make it more complex, and on the recording you're making no sense. So in my head I'm trying to explain E is equal to mc square theory, but when somebody looks at that recording it doesn't make any sense and you won't get a second chance to go and explain it. So when it comes to your Kira answers, prepare them very short, straight, and don't make them complex. It's your basic Corolla, Toyota Corolla, or your Honda. Now, when it comes to your one-on-one interview, when you're going to be dealing with the faculty, that's when you want to bring your Mercedes or your BMW. That's where you want to have a more sophisticated side of you, where you can give longer answers, where you can go in depth. Because at that time, if you try to explain a very complex situation or a complex example, at least the other person can ask you questions. They can ask you, how did that happen? What do you mean by that? And from there, you can look at their face, their response, and you can have the idea whether I am connecting to this person, whether they can understand what I'm saying, and you can change your answers accordingly. So, the key difference, which I tell people in the big do's and don'ts, in is in Kira, don't try to make things more complex than you need to. Keep it simple that even a high schooler can understand it. The second thing is stay within the time limit. The third thing I'll tell you is in Kira, and before I do that, kindly to hit the subscribe button, like the video, write something in the comment. That really helps other people like you to watch this video. So the next thing I was going to tell you in Kira, the answers have to be most of the questions, 95% of the questions that I have list coming from Indiana, Tufts, Minnesota, NYU are related conflict or some kind of problem or an ethical scenario regarding a treatment plan, maybe a conflict of schedule or conflict at work or somebody not doing their work. And most of their questions are surrounding this or leadership, and they will ask you these kind of questions. They will give you a short time period to think about it and then record your answers. And people who reach out to the program directors for evaluation, for feedback, they told them, when we looked at your Kira talent assessment, the first thing we are looking at is your ability to look at the camera, speak confidently, and communicating in a way that shows that you're a confident person. So by the end of the day, they don't even care how much sophisticated or well thought your answer was. It should be a little bit well thought. Don't just give gibberish words. You want to make proper sentences and give them ideas. But what will be the most important thing in those thousands of videos they're going to go through is your presentation, the room, the background, the lighting, what you're wearing, and your ability to confidently communicate. Here's a key thing I'll tell you. I'm doing a free session on April 27th, which is a Sunday. I'm going to talk about Casper and Kira in detail. I have some recorded session which are $150 for 3 hour recorded session that I did for NYU. You can buy it. I can share some questions that has helped a lot of people to prepare for Kira. One thing I'll tell you, very important point. When you're setting up for interviews, whether in person, whether for Kira, your camera, place yourself in a way where you're distant apart, at least one hand distance away from the camera, and you're sitting straight and you can use your hands a little bit. I tend to do more than I should. You should not be doing so much hand gesture, but showing your palm while speaking makes you more confident, makes you appear more confident. So this is one of the key things I'll encourage everybody who's preparing for these interview. I hope you like this video. I'm going to share another interview prep video up here. And if you like the content, follow me on Instagram, write something in the comment. Truly, I would really appreciate it. Subscribe to the channel and see you soon.